But I'm not.
Can you hear me now? I always forget to turn this on.
Okay.
My voice definitely isn't loud enough by itself. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, members, and we have special guests with us today. Welcome. Before we begin, let's remember that soon it's going to be daylight savings time. I'm sure you're all thrilled. And according to Winston Churchill, we borrow an hour in April. We pay it back with golden interest 5 months later. Enjoy the daylight while you can. I'd like to thank Cindy Del Piano for last week's program. County Executive Pezenti has a very positive outlook for Oneida County now and in the future. We are fortunate to have him and many others working together to promote business here for a vibrant economy. I am pleased to report last week's program with Mr. Pezenti is now available on our YouTube channel. An email link will be sent to you this afternoon. Please check it out and tell others who may not have been here last week to see it. Linda Berry will be available after the meeting for anyone who still needs to obtain their yearbook. At this time, I am most pleased to present our resident jokester, who will read the minutes from last.
I've been called many things, and oftentimes you are a real joke, Dutch, let me tell you. But anyway, I'm sure you all are enjoying this cooler weather, and gives you an opportunity to get out your flannel jammies and your flannel nightgowns. And I tried to put some flannel jammies on my cats last night. Did not work. So that will be something I will never try again. But I'm really, really unhappy because I bought them the cutest Halloween outfits, and now I can't put them on. So anyway, so here are the minutes from last meeting. President Joan Lomry called the meeting to order at 10:30 a.m. at the Beaches Manor. She reminded the membership that November 1st is the deadline for dues, and asked if anyone knows of a member who needs to pay to please remind them. She also stated that last week's video is now available for viewing on the WNC website. She thanked Andrea Radici, Joanne Secura, and Susan Williams for their continued efforts in recording the weekly programs. Thanks were also given to Jennifer Boulanger for the beautiful tropical floral arrangement on October 15th, and to Nan Firmer for today's lovely sunflower memorial display. Not to be forgotten, Joan thanked Literature Chair Kathy Kania for bringing John Swan to speak about his Charlie Chan mysteries. Secretary Glenda Alvarez read the minutes from the October 15th meeting. With no additions or corrections, a motion to accept was made by Sheila Murphy and seconded by Karen Waters. Motion passed with all in favor. Membership Chair Sheila Waters asked Jennifer Evans to introduce new member Loretta Lukowski, who was presented with a WMC pin and welcomed by President Lomry. Before current topics, Chair Cindy Del Piano introduced today's speaker. President Lomry read a quote from former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. "There is no greater challenge and is no greater honor than to be in public service." Cindy then introduced County Executive Anthony J. Pezenti Jr., New York State's longest-serving county executive, first appointed to the position on January 1st, 2007, and then elected to 5 full 4-year terms. Say that fast. Mr. Pezenti talked in great detail about Oneida County, what the county is all about, the many challenges it has faced and met, as well as future challenges. He stated that we are second only in the state to New York City for tourism, and expect this area to continually grow because of sound financial decisions and investment in the area from companies like Chobani and Wolfspeed, along with amazing growth at Griffith's Business Park. Mr. Pezenti ended his inspiring presentation by fielding many thought-provoking questions from the membership. President Lomry then thanked Mr. Vicente for his very informative presentation and informed the membership that he is donating his honorarium back to the club to be used in our scholarship program. She reminded the group that next week's drama program, chaired by Debbie Mislinski, is another guest privilege. A motion to adjourn at 11:42 a.m. was made by Marge Palmer and seconded by Debbie Mislinski. Motion carried. Respectfully submitted, Linda Alvarez, Secretary.
Thank you, Judge. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as read? Cindy Del Piano. Can I have a second to the motion, please? Gail Evans. All in favor? Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Sheila Waters will now present new members. Sheila?
We have two new members today to introduce. First, Linda Davis will introduce Deborah Slagle.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I'm very, very pleased to introduce you to Debbie Slagle, Debbie Taubert Slagle, who some of you may remember from Coalyard Charlie's. She also, you may also remember her or have seen her at the Fleet Bank in Utica, where she worked with student loans. I met her 3 years ago at the Presbyterian Church, where she works indefatigably behind the scenes on everything she can possibly work on. She is married to a native Roman. She has one son. She is an avid quilter, an excellent cook, and if you're ever downtown and you want a cup of coffee, she has an open house for anybody who wants a snack or a drink. What's the address? She is a quilter, an excellent cook, and a passionate animal lover, both four-legged and two-legged. She has 2 dogs, and the only other thing that I can think of to say about her is that she is ready to help anyone with a capital A, anyone, almost any time, in any situation. And she will be an asset to Wednesday Morning Club. Debbie Slagle.
Thank you. And next for today we have Sharon Sanford introducing Jackie Hill. Hello, I'd like to introduce Jackie Hiltz, and I've known Jackie for quite a while. We met her with a common hobby, which was quilting. And Jackie's a very busy person. She likes to hunt, quilt, she does crafts, hiking, boating, and she spends time at her place in North Lake. She is married to Bernie Hiltz, who they live here in Marcy. And she grew up in Westernville. She received a bachelor's degree in animal science from Cornell University, and she worked at Cornell University in Farm Service Agency. And she's now retired and has time and very excited to be a part of our group. And I would like to welcome Jackie. I anticipate so if anyone would like an application, I have them with me. So see me after. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila, and welcome, Debbie and Jackie, to Wednesday Morning Club. What is the purpose of a play? Well, here's one perspective. Our Country's Good is a play written about the exiling of convicts by the British in the late 18th century. Prior to the American Revolution, the British exiled convicts to America. Here is a quote from that play. A play should make you understand something new. If it tells you what you already know, you leave it as ignorant as when you went in. Here to introduce our presenter is Diane Fletcher. Diane.
Good morning. I know Debbie is very sad that she's not here. She's really looking. Oh, is that better? Yeah. I know Debbie is sad that she's not here for this presentation. She was really looking forward to it. So Linda is an award-winning playwright, poet, lyricist, and essayist who grew up in Rome and graduated from RFA, where she was active in several organizations and sports. She has a BA in English from the University at Albany, where she also studied playwriting and public administration on the graduate level. Most of her career was spent in Albany, working for state government and writing as a side gig. She began writing, or rather co-writing, musicals in the late 80s and quickly transitioned to straight plays, mostly one acts. She has 22 discrete or different produced plays to her credit, totaling over 40 productions. Her works have been seen not only in New York State, but also in Connecticut and Massachusetts. She is a proud member of the Dramatists Guild of America, Honor Roll, and advocacy group for women playwrights over 40, the Westchester Collaborative Theater and the Brewster Theater Company. Please join me in welcoming Linda Bidwell Delaney.
Thank you. I want to start by saying it's a big, can you hear me okay? Down a little bit. Yeah. It is a big honor for me to be here today. You still can't hear me? How's that? Okay. I'll try to use my stage voice. It's a big honor for me to be here today. I grew up hearing stories about the Wednesday Morning Club from my mother. I don't think she was a member, but a lot of her friends were, and they would invite her whenever there were guest privileges. And in fact, one of the last letters I had from her when I was in college was saying that she had been to the Wednesday Morning Club and they had taught her, they had a lecturer about existentialism and how fascinated she was with that. That was in the 60s, of course. So she would be very proud that I'm speaking to you today. And to be honest, there have been some other things that she might not be so proud of. So I'm very happy to be here. I want to start, Debbie asked me to talk about my passion for playwriting. And so I thought about it, and I thought I don't have a passion for playwriting. I have a passion for theater, and I have a passion for writing, so it sort of comes together. But I saw this meme actually on Facebook about what theater is, and these are all the reasons why I'm passionate about theater. The biggest one being that it is a collaborative process, and it's a very social form of writing. Do we have any writers in the room? No? Okay, do we have any people in the room who have acted or playwrights? Well, obviously it's a word writer. Any actors? a few actors. Do we have people who've been involved in theater and other? Okay, good. All right, now, how many of you, and please raise your hands, when you were a kid, played Let's Pretend? Okay, now we have the common background, because that playing of Let's Pretend eventually becomes theater. And it's trying on what it's like to be somebody else. And that's kind of exciting. I started off in the Rome schools, and in the 3rd grade I played Sally the Squirrel. And then there was the Rome Community Theater. There was a woman named Sarah Kent. I don't know if that means anything to people. And Sarah had started a group for children, and we toured around the schools, and I played Malinky the monkey. Now remember that, because one of the things that I realized when I was preparing for this was how many threads there are in life that kind of come together later on, almost like a braid. You can't hear me? Okay. Oops. Suppose I do this.
Yes.
Okay. That's better. Okay. And I think I'm ready for my next slide. Yes, how did you get started? Okay. And so after I played Malinky, I tried out for the next play, and I thought I was very well suited to the part, but I didn't get the part. And I thought to myself, well, it was singing was involved, so I thought, oh, well, you probably can't sing very well. And maybe you can't act very well, or maybe theater just isn't fair. And so I kind of put it aside. In high school, I started writing quite a bit. That was the thing people told me I was good at, so I would keep it up. And I used to, we had a bulletin board at school, and I would write funny little poems and things like that and put them on the bulletin board. And I really enjoyed that. I was an English major in college and took creative writing courses and so on and so forth. And then basically went on with life. I was working for the state government. It still needs to be close.
Like that.
If I can hear an echo, that's what I need to hear. Okay. So I didn't turn back to theater for a long time. I started writing at some point. I was writing poems, and I had a newspaper column in Albany, so people knew me as a writer. Then I had a friend who was from New York. He was an actor from New York. He decided he wasn't going to succeed in that profession, and he'd moved to Albany, and he wanted to teach theater. So I was able to set him up with a place where he could teach acting. So of course, since he was my friend, even though I knew I wasn't any good at it, I decided to take his course. He took me aside afterwards and said, I know you basically came to support me, but you're actually pretty good at this. So I started acting, very surprised, but I started acting. Got some great roles. I didn't act all that much. Meanwhile, there were some people who were working on a musical, and apparently things had broken down, and they asked me to become involved, and I ended up being very active in that. And I ended up assistant directing the show, and I ended up with a part in the show, singing, which apparently I could do after all. So, and that was fine. After that, I decided maybe I better take a playwriting course, and I did. And, but the 3 people who had collaborated on it, it was 2 women and 1 man. And afterwards, we kind of decided, well, how do we divide it up? We didn't know how, And he said, well, I did way more than 50% of it, so we gave him 55%, and he was supposedly happy. Then later he came back and said, no, I really wrote the whole thing. So I got mad. I think some of you may have been there in your working lives. And so I joined the Dramatists Guild. And through that connection, it's amazing to me how something that's bad and painful can produce so much good. I made connections that got me started writing plays. And so I've been doing that for quite some time now. I discovered that musicals were very different if you don't actually compose the music. And so I decided to move into straight plays, and I mostly work in the short form. Now, at one point, I had a play that actually was done at the Rome Community Theater. Oh, I forgot to mention, I mentioned Sarah Kent. While I was growing up, my friend Janet had the most glamorous mother in the world. She had red hair, and she was an actress in the Rome Community Theater, and she was just the most glamorous person I could imagine. And I thought, gee, I wish I were good at acting, because I want to be like her. And she used to invite our Girl Scout troop to come to, oftentimes, to dress rehearsal. And sometimes we would usher or work in the cloakroom or something. And so we were exposed to theater through that. Okay. So I'm at the Rome Community Theater, and I'm talking with one of the producers, a man by the name of Fred. And it turns out that he was involved in the production where I was Malinky the monkey. He had worked with Sarah Kent, and he said at that point he was basically schlepping the scenery around in a van, as we went from school to school. And so we had the production, and it was great. And as I was walking out of the theater, I saw someone sitting in the very, very back row with fading red hair, and I thought, could it be? And I said, excuse me, you look very familiar. And she said, yes, I'm Emily Hayes.
Wow.
I was hoping you'd remember Emily. and sure enough, and so she invited me to her home. And this is the cast, by the way, from the Rome Community Theater. I don't know if you'll recognize any of them. We have Denise Morganti, Elizabeth Bialik, Laura DeFranco, Bob Hirschman, who was the director, Stephen Bialik, David Bunker, and Ryan Oliver. I don't know if any of you know them. But anyway, so she invited me over to her house where we had a fabulous time drinking tea and talking about theater and everything else. And she confessed a deep, dark secret to me. It's not so secret anymore, but guess what? She and Fred were dating. Isn't that fun? Okay. Now I want to move into another area. You mentioned short plays, and most of my plays are like 10 minutes. So those are called skits, right? No. Nope, they're not. If you look on Google, it will tell you that a short play is a skit. Google is wrong about that. AI is wrong about that. In theater, a skit is basically something you did back when you were in camp. Do you remember going to summer camp, any of you, when you would do skits? And basically, there's no particular plot to them. It's usually just one joke that is acted out. And it's not very high quality usually. In fact, I found one quote from a playwright who said that a skit was basically only performed by people under 10 or under the influence of a controlled substance. So if you have someone who is like in theater or playwright or something like that, don't call their work a skit unless they call it a skit. Improv, some of you may have seen, and with improv they don't have any script at all. The people come on stage, and I really admire this, and they're given a situation. Like they might say, oh, you're all meeting in an airport and the plane is late, or something like that. And then they go ahead and just make up something, very much like play acting as a kid. And it's great fun to watch. Usually they end up without a whole lot of plot or anything like that to them. It's just fun. A sketch is what you see on Saturday Night Live, where there is a script for it, and sometimes they use improv as part of it. And that is usually more than one joke acted out. and there might be a little bit of character differentiation between them. There usually is not a storyline. Now, when we get into a play, we go all the way back to Aristotle, who came up with a dramatic structure that persists to this day for the most part. And a play is kind of, it's constructed. We'll get to that a little bit later, but you always have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you have character development, and usually there's a conflict, and by conflict it's not just two people who don't get along, it's two people usually that each wants something and the two can't happen at the same time. Maybe it's like two men who want to be with the same woman or something like that. And that how that is resolved is how the play comes about. So in a play, you'll see a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you will see a playwright. Okay, what is a monologue? A monologue is actually two things. There's a monologue that is a long speech from a play, and they are often like published separately, and they're used by actors for auditions, mostly. And the other kind of monologue is simply a play with one character. And I'm going to present to you right now an example of a monologue from my own work. And this is taking place at an open mic night. The character's name is Carly. Excuse me. And now I will become Carly. I've had three grand passions in my life. Cars, a certain guy we'll get to later, and poetry. These have also been my three grand disappointments because cars are supposed to run, but sometimes they don't. Men are not supposed to run, but usually they do. Poems are supposed to rhyme. You see what they're doing these days? They just take any old paragraph and divide it into lines, and then they call it poetry. Now, I realized that with the last one, I had some degree of control. So I wrote my own proper poem that rhymes, and I'd like to perform a dramatic reading of that poem today. Maybe some of you remember years ago when they used to have signs on the cars, like little yellow diamonds, and that said stuff like, baby on board, meaning, I guess, that you shouldn't crash into them like I would have if I hadn't seen the sign. I had a sign of my own. And this is what it said. For those of you who can't see it, it's called Heartbreak on Board. Oh, and if you don't know nothing about cars, you might not understand this poem, so please just sit quiet and try to be polite. I'm tired, and I'm lonely, and I'm feeling like a fool. My baby's gone and left me to join a new carpool. So please don't run me over with your Chevy or your Ford. See the sign in my back window, I've got heartbreak on board. It's too bad our relationship has taken a reversal because the big lug's sex appeal is nearly universal. His charms are truly manifold, with no ifs, ands, or buts. He really is quite dashing. You should see the way he struts. He's more than just a pickup. I met him through an ad he placed in desperation because he needed rides so bad. Without a way to get to work, he was almost suicidal. He felt like he was in a rut and running rough and idle. At first, he mixed his signals. It was really stop and go. He nearly drove me crazy by taking curves so slow. Oh, paper, I hate paper. Let's see. My heart was in a clutch. I felt like stepping on the gas, but I didn't have to because he finally made a pass. For a time, I was exhausted because he got so fresh, but then our pistons synchronized. Our gears just seemed to mesh. Our romance ran real smoothly, though it did accelerate. A ring job was in order, so we set our wedding date. Then one day he left me alone in my garage. I knew that he was stalling and giving me the dodge. I knew our love had just gone flat. He had some mental block. I knew this was the final break. It was a nasty shock. My friends were sympathetic. They said he was no good. His ego was inflated. He was just another hood. I called him up and asked him, "Why don't I turn you on?" He wiped away a tear and said, "I guess the spark is gone." I'm tired and I'm lonely and I'm feeling like a fool. My baby's gone and left me to join a new carpool. So please don't run me over with your Chevy or Ford. See the sign in my back window? I've got heartbreak on board. Thank you, and if you need one of those signs, they might still have them at the dollar store. May all your vehicles run, may none of your sweethearts run, and may all your poetry rhyme. Thank you, and good night. So why is it spelled P-L-A-Y-W-R-I-G-H-T instead of P-L-A-Y-R-I-T-E? And that's because it's based on the word right, which is an old English word for builder. And also someone who repairs. You can think of a shipwright or wainwright, but I'm not really sure what a wainwright is, so, but anyway. And that's why they call it a playwright. I have a quote here from Arthur Miller: "Playwriting is an oral art. It's not an art of a writer expecting to be read, but a writer expecting to be heard." So the very first thing as a playwright you do is to put on paper the words, and that's only the first step. If you're writing a short story or novel, that's just about it. But with a play, the first thing you need to hear is, are other people going to see those words the same way you do? So you need to get some friends together or some actors together. You usually start with like a table read, meaning you just sit around the table and everybody takes a part. You don't even worry about whether it's you use who's there. You know, if you have all women and some of the parts are men, so what? It doesn't matter. And that way the playwright gets to hear it out loud for the first time. And you can realize then a lot of times where you've just punctuated the sentence wrong, or even just the words aren't working, or it's boring in parts. You know, you can pick up a lot right away. From that point, it usually moves to a lab process. We call them labs, and that is groups of actors and writers. Sometimes it's just writers who take parts, but usually it's both. And the actors actually will sit on a stage and read aloud. And they're basically sitting. They're not trying to do any stage movement or anything like that. And then you get feedback. You know, what do people say? We ask questions like, was there anything that confused you? Was there anything that brought you out of the play? You know, maybe somebody mentions jewelry, and you stop and think, oh, jewelry, wow, that could be a necklace, that could be an earring, you know what I mean? And you're not thinking about the play then, because this has gotten you off on a tangent in your mind. And that's one of the things as playwrights, of course, we don't want to see happen, because then you might miss an important part of the plot. And other questions we ask, you know, are, you know, did it work for you? Did you enjoy it? You know, just things like that. And you do that, sometimes you do it, and then you write it again, and then you'll do it again, because plays aren't written. And I thought I had a slide on this, but it seems to be, yeah, there we go. I already did that. How is a play developed? Plays aren't written, they're rewritten. And this is such an adage in the industry that this quote is attributed to a lot of different people. And you just revise and revise and revise. It's not unusual for a play to go through 20 or 30 revisions. And sometimes even there's a next stage which is a fully staged reading where the actors have script in hand, but they actually do the stage movement that's called for. So you don't have to have someone reading directions, stage directions. And I find that the most useful because you learn the most about a play. For example, a lot of beginning playwrights will have some place where the character has to change clothes. Well, obviously they've exited to change into their new outfit, but if you didn't give enough dialogue on stage, they won't have had time to change. Something that simple, you know, it gets down to very nitty-gritty things. And I find that stage of the process, I find that audience members very quickly forget that the actor has the script in their hand. You know, I think it's more enjoyable for the audience than seeing them sitting in front of music stands or something like that. Anyway, then it goes on to full production. And one of the reasons why I write 10-minute plays is because it's easier to get them produced. Okay, where do you get your ideas for plays? There are lots of ways. One of the ways is through prompts. A lot of times a theater company will have a call for submissions, and they'll say, we want to hear plays about what happened in 1832 in the New York Central Railway Station, you know, something like that, where you have to do some research and you have to do, and the trouble then is that if your play isn't submitted, who else wants to hear about that, you know. Taking courses is great because you get prompts. Sometimes it'll be a word. They have a thing called a 24-hour festival that I love doing, where everybody gets together on Friday night. You're assigned actors and a director and a theme. And the writer has to have the play in by 7 o'clock the next morning. And the director and actors meet, and they put it on. They put the play on the next night. So the whole thing from start to finish is 24 hours. And usually with that, they give you some kind of a theme that you have to work with, you know. So that's a lot of fun. Other place, the place where I like to get ideas the most is from other forms of art. And in particular, paintings and like that. There are a number of places that have calls where you'll go in and you look at an exhibit and pick a painting and write to that painting or photo or whatever. And I brought you one that I used for the presentation you're going to see in a minute. This is not the picture I saw, but this is what was on it was a picture that was very similar to that. And so my son and daughter-in-law were raising chickens in their backyard at the time. And so I got some little insight about chickens and how they behave from them. This is a picture that was done at the last production. One of the people who was in it, you know, was obviously pretty artistically talented and brought this to us. And right now, I would like to I would like to present to you the Wednesday Morning Club players who have never acted before and who have had all of 2 hours of rehearsal, if that. And I think they're marvelous. And they're going to be presenting Cluck to you. And the premise is that 3 aging chickens meet in a wing bar and discover that wing night doesn't mean what they thought it did. And how are they going to cluck their way out of this one?
Chickadee, I didn't expect to see you here. I don't believe I know you. Oh, sure you do. We were chicks together at Agway.
Oh, Henrietta, or some common barnyard name like that. I suppose you mean stuff here. As long as you understand that I intend to win the Wing Night contest.
Don't peck at me. I'm on top of the pecking order, remember?
You were. I've been top chicken in my flock for years, and there were 6 of us.
My flock numbered nearly 200.
We were more exclusive flock. Suburban backyard chickens are all the rage among humans, you know. We only needed to produce enough eggs to feed the family.
We were barnyard chickens, cage-free and organic. Our eggs were sold at farmers market and were very expensive.
Oh, McDonald had a farm.
Listen up. Me, top of the pecking order of 200 barnyard chickens. You, top of the pecking order of 6 backyard chickens. I'm obviously better qualified.
If it means that much to you, you can have the title top chicken, as long as you don't actually peck me.
Fair enough. And for the record, everyone wins on Wing Night.
Oh no, they mentioned first, second, and third prizes.
Then I'm afraid you'll have to settle for second. Oh, look! An old biddy.
Oh, don't mind me.
We do mind.
The waiter told me to sit here. I guess they have a whole section for just us chickens.
I'm not sure you fit in. You're unusually pale for a chicken, and there's something odd about your beak. We don't really want you here.
These are the feathers I was born with, and where I come from, everyone's beaks are clipped. I see yours are au naturel. There must be some reason for that.
The better to peck you with, my dear.
Ow! Please let me stay, please. It's wing night, and I have wings, just like you do. The waiter said I should sit here, and he's a human after all.
Humans always seem to be in charge. If you must sit with us, we should at least know your name.
My name is Section 315, number 3.14159, but you can call me Pie.
That's a number, not a name.
They must have run out of names. There were 100,000 chickens in my section and over 3 million in my flock.
And where were your eggs sold?
In the supermarket, of course.
3 million eggs? Eggs sold in a supermarket? That's an egg factory.
We prefer to call them egg production facilities.
I take it you weren't free range then.
Oh, goodness, no. We could stand up once in a while, but mostly we just sat and laid our eggs. We were all jammed together, kind of like an assembly line. You had to learn to get along with your neighbors.
I bet that's why they clipped your beaks. So you couldn't peck each other to death.
Maybe.
always assumed it was a religious rite of some sort.
It must have been boring.
It was. We didn't even have room to spread our wings.
But surely they gave you exercise breaks.
No, not ever. But I didn't want my wings to get all flabby, so I did isometric exercises every single day. They always had radio playing because they thought music would make us lay more eggs. For a while they tried cable news, but that had a negative effect.
We watched cable news on TV sometimes.
They put a television in your chicken coop?
Of course not. The TV was in the human's house.
How did you get into their house?
Through the chicken door, of course.
Weren't they afraid of excrement?
Of course not. We used litter boxes. We weren't feral.
Our news came from a much more reliable source, the crows. And we were lulled to sleep each night by the sound of crickets chirping. We tried not to eat too many of them because they chirp kind of like we do. So we mostly snacked on your regular earwigs and spiders and ticks.
Ooh, earwigs and spiders and ticks? Oh my.
Earwigs and spiders and ticks? Oh my! Sometimes I do miss that barnyard.
Weren't you afraid of predators like coyotes and even dogs?
Of course, one time some idiot hired a fox to guard the hen house. I lost 4 dear friends that way.
I know about foxes from cable news, but I don't know what coyotes are.
Animals that like to eat chickens.
Like dogs? I've heard about dogs.
Dogs aren't so bad. One of ours helped me escape by boosting me up onto the back of the hay wagon that was going to town.
I faked my own death. I saved up all the feathers I bolted and put them in a pile in the corner so it would look like I'd been carried off by an eagle or something. Then I just flew the coop.
Very clever. And Pie? Did they throw you out with the trash?
Well, sort of. One day they loaded everyone in section 315 on this huge truck. A crow flew by and told us we were going to a dog food factory. The other hens were squawking and wringing their claws, but I knew that was not how I wanted to end my life.
But you obviously got out.
When they were unloading our cage, the door flew open just a little, and I squeezed out and flew away. No one expected my wings to be so strong. You should have seen those humans' faces.
I never heard of humans using chickens to make dog food.
I guess the hens in our section weren't contributing enough product. They were making room for younger chickens.
My egg production was declining too. I was afraid I might end up in a pot.
They wouldn't have harvested me. But as much as I loved it there, I was a little tired of giving the humans all my eggs. I would have liked to hatch 1 or 2.
They let me hatch 3. It's kind of boring sitting there until they hatch. And they grow up so fast. But chickadee dear, to hatch an egg, it must be fertilized. And to be fertilized, you do need a rooster.
Well, we weren't zoned for roosters. But one year they got 3 new chicks. And I guess it's hard to tell at that age. Because one of them was, it was great for a while. But then he had to go and crow about it.
What's a rooster?
It's why we cross the road.
What's a fertilized egg?
It's an egg that can become a chicken.
You mean I used to be an egg? I thought eggs were just people food. Really? Chickens come from eggs?
Yes, but only from eggs that have been fertilized by a rooster. When a rooster and a hen really
Horse feathers. There's no really about it. That's for humans. You can't apply human values to chickens. For us, it's more of a right place, right time kind of thing.
Right time for what? I'm really confused.
We can discuss that another time. Right now, we should think about ordering. What's an omelet?
It's eggs, just like my unborn baby chicks.
Perhaps something else. I could use a nice appetizer, but I don't see any gravel here.
There's something called grits. Oh, wait, they come with eggs. I'm not hungry anymore. I'm waiting for the wing contest. My wings are so strong I could wing wrestle anyone.
Oh no, wing night means it's a beauty contest. But I'm the likely.
No, wing night means bird's night out. I'm here to network and build a new power.
Oh, look at the menu under wings. From the fryer, or the grill, or the oven, garlic, barbecue, or something called clucking hot wings.
I hate it when they use clucking as an adjective. Clucking this and clucking that. It gets so tired.
You're missing the point. They eat chickens' wings. It's a wing-eating contest.
We'll be plucked. Not my beautiful feathers.
You won't ever see that. They swing you around by the neck and chop your head off.
That's comforting. Look over there. That man in the white apron with blood on it. And that giant knife. He's looking straight at us.
There's no way to where to fly. We'll have to defend our lives.
I'll handle this. It's my responsibility as head chicken.
I wonder what she's telling them.
I don't know, but I could have laid an egg by now.
Really? Because even in my prime,
Of course not. That's just an expression.
I'm sorry, girls. I did my best. I told him we're laying hens, not eating hens, but he wants to know how many eggs we can lay in a week. I said I'd get back to him, but at our age,
Why should we lose our value just because our reproductive years are over? I'm going to give it a try.
oh, I hope she'll be able to save us.
it's doubtful after all. She's second chicken.
I told him, we have other qualities like beauty, wisdom, and creativity. I even pointed out that we'd probably be tough. He doesn't care. They're running out of wings.
I didn't come this far just to be plucked now.
I have no idea what she could say that we didn't.
The egg factory sounds perfectly dreadful, but it was her own fault. She ended up there, you know.
Of course, if she had have been more colorful and fluffier and appealing as a chick, she would have been selected to be a barnyard chicken like me or a backyard chicken like you instead of a grunt worker in a factory. You don't have to tell us. I know we're clucked. You're not clucked, and you're not plucked. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Fine. Ow.
The owner of the restaurant has an estate out in the country. If we patrol the grounds during the day, we can sleep in one of his spare garages, and we won't have to worry about wing night.
That's great. What did you say to him?
Earwigs and spiders and ticks. Oh my. I guess humans really don't like ticks. He's taking us home in the red pickup out back. Meet you there.
Of course, we laid the groundwork, but I never would have expected a factory chicken to be so resourceful.
She did save our tail feathers. We probably shouldn't peck on her anymore.
You're right. And since we're all going to live together, I suppose we'll have to accept her as part of our flock.
Oh, no. I mean, we'll have to tolerate her. But she'll never be one of our beefs. Not really.
I don't know. I wonder what humans do.
Thank you so much. Sue, Melanie, Peggy. Thank you. There's another tradition in theater. It has more to do with directors and playwrights usually. Ladies don't quite leave yet. We often give little gifts to our actors. And if one of you please would read the inscription on your gift.
Positive chick. I may be a tiny chick, but I believe in you. Go do your thing. You're clucking awesome.
They are now owners of a support chicken, an emotional support chicken. Okay, I have some more like prepared questions from questions that people usually ask me, but I see that we're running close on the time thing. Do any of you have any questions that you would like to? Okay, go ahead.
Ava Dorfman, formerly Ava Dorfman Center. We have a British theater twice a month, just like you saw today. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can say what she said.
No, I can hear her say it. I
have the mic now.
Yeah, okay.
The Ava Dorfman, the 4C Center, twice a month they have a reader's theater. And it's a lot of fun to do, just as you saw today. We don't always wear costumes though.
Tomorrow is the meeting.
Tomorrow is the meeting. Very cool. You know, if either of these ladies, I think if you wanted to see them afterwards, they tell you more about it. Reader's Theater is great fun. You know, you can bring in new works, you can bring in old chest cuts. It's really great. Because there comes a time in life when when learning lines is not quite so easy. That's why I stopped acting. I was on stage, I was supposed to be sort of like Charles Dickens. It was a production of The Christmas Carol. And I was actually reading from Dickens, and I couldn't memorize that to save my life. It was a big book I had in front of me, so I prepared a little booklet with only my words on it, so that I could look at that. And I'm sitting there on stage, and all of a sudden, and it was a raised stage, and all of a sudden, the little booklet falls out and falls down into the orchestra pit. And I'm like a deer in headlights because I can't for the life of me remember what I'm supposed to say next. Fortunately, it was a theater person in the front row. They saw it and grabbed it and handed it back up to me. And I decided that was it for our team. Are there any other questions? How are we set for time? We're at the end. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you, Sue, Melody, and Peggy for an amazing performance. At this time, could we have a motion to adjourn? Do you want to tell Dutch? I don't think she can see you.
Yeah, she'll.
Well, I have two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Teresa. Okay.
Teresa? Seconded the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned, and we'll see you next week.